with Biden, obviously he has decried trickle-down economics. He has lambasted it. Do you think, how detrimental is that to the American people?
Oh, come on. Where did he get his PhD? Excuse me. I hate to say it, but this guy doesn't understand straight up from Sikkim. He doesn't know economics. And let me tell you, all of his staffers, who I do know very well, all of the PhDs they're working there, they're all friends of mine I've known for years. I got my undergraduate at Yale, my PhD at Stanford. I got tenure at the University of Chicago, not too shabby. I taught at all these places. And I know all of them. And, when they are employed by the government, and why I've never taken a job with the government, is because once you are an employee of the government, you're an employee and you're not, you're beholden to your boss. These people will rebut arguments they know to be true in order to curry favors with their political benefactors. That's why I've never taken a job with government, so that when I sat down with Reagan, when I sit down with Trump, when I sit down with Clinton, when I sat down with any of these people, I can tell them how I actually feel, nicely, sweetly. I don't cause trouble, but I don't have to kowtow to any line because it's my economics, and you know darn well. Everyone knows you cannot tax an economy into prosperity. It's stupid. Everyone knows a poor person can't spend himself into wealth. That's dumb too. And if Britain wants to do those policies, God bless you, but I'm not attached to you on that one. All right?
Yeah. So now with America, I guess the question is the only hope Donald Trump returning to the White House? Is that the only hope for taxes coming down, or?
No. It's not the only hope, but it's a big hope. I mean, if he comes back, I think he would be a very fine president. He was in his 4 years in office. If it hadn't been for the pandemic, he'd have been the best president in his first term ever. I mean, he really did a great Operation Warp Speed. I mean, unbelievable. All this immunotherapy stuff and all these virus things and mRNA. I mean, that's all Trump. A lot of trillions of dollars, but that's what government should do. He did the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which paid for itself in the first 2 years. And it created the lowest unemployment rates, and Hispanic, Black, undereducated, they all had the biggest drop in poverty, lowest poverty measured in the U.S. It was really wonderful. And the revenues more than paid for themselves. Duh, what's wrong with that model? And then, the decontrol he's done. The thing I loved that he did was transparency, medical transparency, that you should require healthcare providers to tell you what the transactions prices are and what the efficacy of the drugs are, so that you and I can go in there, look at the prices, look at the efficacy, and make our own decisions as to what we want or don't want in the way of medicine. And that should be true of medical providers in all levels, hospitals, et cetera. And we should return to free markets in healthcare as well, with comprehensive insurance on catastrophic, obviously, and healthcare, free healthcare for those who can't afford it. But we need to bring markets back to healthcare as well. Trump did that in his executive order. So what's wrong with that? I mean, tell me, where are we wrong? Trump was meeting, in other areas, meeting with Kim Jong-un to get nuclear weapons down. Here you had a man who tried to do the very best he could for the country. And if it weren't for the pandemic, he would have been reelected in a landslide. And we'll see what happens in 2024. But, I'm quite excited about the election in 2024. I'm 3 years older than Joe Biden. I'm 3 years older than he is. And, I can resemble those remarks. He's an older man. He's a very nice man, but he doesn't have his PhD in economics, as I mentioned. I don't know if you realize that. And he wasn't first in his class in math either. But I'm not making fun of him. He's a fine, nice guy who's just wrong. And you're allowed to be wrong when you're 80, as he is. You're allowed to be wrong when you're 83, my age. But I'm not, and he is.
But being wrong, I guess, if it's having a negative impact on the American people, is very different, right? So,
Well, it is. And he has had a very negative impact on the American people. You can see it by the polls. You can see it by the numbers, the participation rate. You can see it by productivity growth. You can see it by the expected real rate of return on the unit of capital over the last 12, 15, 20 years. All of these numbers are bad. We are in a long state of senescence, what I call senescence here in the U.S. But we're not the only country. Russia's disappeared from the face of the earth. China's in a big, steep dive right now. Xi is doing very bad in Chile and Argentina and South America has flipped corners, now straight heading south. The U.S. is not doing well. The continent of Europe, the EU is a loser. And so, we have all of these places not doing well because it's bad economics. And, we may be the tallest midget, but we need to reverse global economics to bring back prosperity. All of these things like sanctions and all of that stuff is wrong-headed. You need to trade with your people who disagree with you, so you can do business with them and know with them and talk with them and do this stuff. And, you can discuss your problems. If you decide not to have any interactions with them, you're going to hate them and they're going to hate you. It was the Smoot-Hawley tariff of 1930 that caused the Great Depression. And it was the Great Depression that caused World War II. Smoot-Hawley tariff protectionism caused World War II. You need to work with your enemies. Now, I'm not saying, Jack, that you should be selling nuclear weapons to Kim Jong-un. You shouldn't, of course not. But trade is an economic tool, not a political military tool. Stop already. Don't put sanctions on countries. Trade with them and get to know them. Send them birthday cards. Send them happy. Sit down, have dinner. And if you've got a problem with them, you Chinese are having difficulty with the Uyghurs, and we don't like what's going on there. And but what about we? You think with you? Talk it out, not shoot it out.